Well, according to some new rumors that are making the rounds, the Russo brothers have made some pretty big changes to the upcoming Avengers 5 script. And when I say big changes, I mean they tossed it out the window. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about the Russo brothers scrapping the original script for Avengers 5, and just to sprinkle in some fun, some updates about Daredevil making his way into this film. Let's dive in. Well, Marvel has been on quite the sojourn trying to get the next Avengers film into the theaters. As many of you remember, originally last year we found out that Jeff Loveness was writing the Kang Dynasty and Michael Waldron was tasked to write Secret Wars. Now, Loveness brought us Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which for many fans is an all-time low for the MCU. But Michael Waldron's Multiverse of Madness was quite a fun romp, and many fans had pretty high expectations for him working on Secret Wars. Now, since then, a lot of things have been, adjusted at Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige has refocused on quality over quantity, slowing down the fire hose, and with some fan responses, it became pretty clear that entrusting fairly inexperienced scribes with the Multiverse final saga wasn't going to be the best move. Later on, all the Jonathan Majors personal and legal issues that came along, well, today's report seemed already like a foregone conclusion, but it is a pretty interesting development because some people are trying to sort of spin this as something that's not good news, and it is. Now, this report comes via Daniel Rickman, and like we always like to say, it's not Kevin Feige or Marvel Studios, but Rickman's track record stands pretty much on its own, and for the last 6 to 8 months, he's pretty much been spot on. Now, as many of you know, with Joe and Anthony Russo returning to direct the upcoming films, they're bringing back their favorite writer, Stephen McFeely. And with McFeely back in the seat, it appears the Russo brothers have completely scrapped Waldron's version for Avengers Doomsday. Now, there's make no mention of Secret Wars, but obviously a 1-2 punch, the second punch is going to be built on the first, and I honestly fully expect whatever was already written down for that project also to be thrown onto the scrap heap. Now, according to the report, everything is being rewritten from scratch, and this probably explains some of that chatter we've been hearing about a small delay until the screenplay is finished. Now, this is something fans have been talking about because James Gunn has made it a point that nothing is going into production until it's ready, and that means a finished script. Where Marvel's had some writing problems in the past, and this script not being ready with production, just on the horizon, I don't think is a great thing, but definitely is not as bad a thing as a terrible script. Now, one of the best things about this news is that it dismisses the idea that Doom is simply going to replace Kang in the story. Kind of just like a villain swap, which definitely would not have worked for many fans and honestly for the story itself. This should also please some of the fans who were pretty unhappy with Waldron's previous work, not to mention the subsection of fans that are really unhappy for him vilifying the Scarlet Witch, but that is a completely different story. In any case, getting a brand new script for what's effectively a completely different story. This is called Doomsday, the first one was called Kang Dynasty, they're not the same movie, and I think this is the best move for Marvel and the Russo brothers, and honestly, McFeely's previous work on Infinity War and Endgame were so good, I trust the guy getting the script right. Now, this wasn't the only Doomsday news that Rickman brought us, though, and he did give us a little bit of an update on Daredevil. Now, as many of you know, yesterday we got a brand new trailer for Daredevil, and this has really brought the public attention of the character to a high point in recent years. Now, what Rickman has had to say is that Charlie Cox will indeed have what he's calling a minor role as the Devil of Hell's Kitchen in Avengers Doomsday. Now, what exactly this looks like, that's unclear, but if I'm making any bets, I suspect he will still be that street-bound hero in New York, but whatever small appearance he has here will be with some of New York's other heroes. And if I'm making any bets, one of those heroes will likely be Spider-Man. Now, this does give Marvel Studios an opportunity maybe to introduce some of those other characters we want to see return from Netflix, but that's just sort of fan wishes at this point. Now, Doomsday is on a short clock because it's set to release in May of 2026, meaning Marvel Studios needs to get this in front of cameras because obviously there's a lot of post-production with Marvel films, and in the modern day, nothing really takes an audience out of a superhero movie than shabby special effects, and they really cannot afford that with Doomsday leading into Secret Wars. Until we know more, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Russo brothers just scrapping the original Kang Dynasty script and going with something completely new? And how much Daredevil do you want in Doomsday? Honestly, a cameo is enough for me. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.